So, hello, we are Daniel and Davide, and together with Elisa, Anna, Oti, and also Sara and Magda, we are the Unfolding Pavilion team. The idea of the Unfolding Pavilion, or in fact, it wasn't Unfolding Pavilion at the time, it was just the idea of an exhibition, came to me in the winter of 2016 when I wrote Davide. I didn't knew him before, and I wrote him proposing to co-curate an exhibition in the context of the Venice Biennale, an exhibition about the curated archives, independent editorial projects that are published on social media. Of course, we looked at first at the call for collateral events for the Venice Biennale, but the price tag attached with the collateral events is 15,000 euros. That's how much you pay in order to have the logo of the Biennale attached to your project. We started looking for a space in Venice in which to exhibit our idea. And we looked for a space with a big architectural significance. We looked at Ignazio Gardella's Casa alle Zattere, which is probably the only 20th century masterpiece that was built in Venice along a major canal. Venice is notoriously for how difficult it is to build. Le Corbusier couldn't build his project in Venice, Wright couldn't, Louis Kahn couldn't, but Gardella did. It is a private condominium with luxury apartments. You see it pictured from when it was first published in the media. And we managed to find an apartment listed on Airbnb inside that building. Actually, it was two apartments. One was on the front side. It had a price of 800 euros per night. But we managed to find a second one, which was on the back of the building, only for 80 euros per night. So you see the inside of the apartment. It was quite hideously furnished, but we said that okay, it's a very nice space to organize an exhibition. And our exhibition was called Curated Archives. And we only contacted the owner of the apartment, telling him that okay, we don't want actually to live in there, but to organize a public exhibition only 1 month before the vernissage. And curiously enough, the guy said, okay, do it. And you see here, installing the exhibition, we only had 24 hours to clean the apartment, make it look nice and install everything. And this is an image from the day of the vernissage. All the objects we exhibited inside were site-specific and were specifically commissioned for this exhibition. And most of the furniture was hidden inside the kitchen and in a little deposit box on the ground floor. And the ones we couldn't move, we just covered with white cloth. And we basically exhibited also in the toilet and on the floors and in basically all the spaces inside the apartment. And you see images from the vernissage. And during the day, the apartment was an exhibition space. And during the night, we lived in the exhibition. And you see us dining in the pavilion in there. And the total budget for a 7-day exhibition during the vernissage of the Biennale was 2,000 euros, which is like 1% of the budget for a regular pavilion in Venice.
The following edition of the Biennale, we decided we would work on another building that we cherish very much, and another masterpiece in Venice, which is the social housing complex by Gino Valle on the Giudecca Island. The only problem is that there's no Airbnb there. It is a public social housing. They're not allowed to rent their homes. So we started going around the complex in the months previous to the vernissage of the Biennale to start to talk to the people and understand how this building works and what possibility we had to enter inside of the building. What we discovered, of course, the building is a fantastic building. It has very generous and beautifully designed public spaces, which we then also, let's say, entered into with our interventions. What we discovered is that of the 94 apartments which make the complex, there were at least 12 of them which were empty and abandoned, many of them from more than 10 years. The reason is that the city council apparently, when the last inhabitant dies or leaves the apartment for any reason, since they don't have the money, they say, to refurbish the apartment, therefore they leave it empty and abandoned. Being public housing, to us, it was quite a shock to learn this, but you also learned this is just the tip of the iceberg, because as a matter of fact, in Venezia, there's hundreds of public apartments which are abandoned precisely like this one. Therefore, we proposed to the city council to let us have an exhibition inside of one of these 12 empty apartments, which they accepted as a proposal, but on the condition that we would refurbish the apartment with our own money and give it back to the city council so that in the end they would be able to re-rent it inside of the market, of the public market for social housing. We agreed with them a sort of contract for temporary use, free temporary use of the pavilion, but the contract, of course, didn't allow us to sleep inside of the apartment, because then it would become a sort of renting contract. So what we did is to put inside of the contract that we will use the apartment as an experimental artistic space, since we slept inside of it, of course, and many of our friends slept with us during the days of the vernissage. But then we could say this was part of the artistic experiment, so we didn't have any problems. Again, we chose a topic for the exhibition. This time it was a sort of survey on Italian architecture practices born in the 1980s, just like the building, which is from the beginning of the 1980s. But then again, we crash against the 15,000 euros sum, because we were told at the very beginning, before signing the contract, that the cost for the refurbishment would be something around 6,500 actually. But then it turns out, through the constructor with the budget, it was again 15,000 euros to refurbish the thing. We didn't have that money. We could only ask half of it or something to the University of Innsbruck, which was going to sponsor the thing, and the University of Trento. So we decided to actually do half of the work ourselves. All the things we could not, let's say, deliver to someone else, we did it now ourselves. So we cleaned the apartment, we dismounted all the things which were added, we repainted the apartment, also with the help of some students from the UAV University who came voluntarily to help us. And we cleaned also the space in front of the building. And of course, we made a huge campaign on media, posting the things we were doing, hoping to generate momentum, both of the scandal of the public empty apartments, but also on the exhibition. Then, of course, we started to build up, just like the first time, the exhibition when we were approaching the vernissage days. Our friends, Italian architects who joined us also in the following days, started to build up their own stuff. And the day of the vernissage was to us, fantastic and gorgeous occasion. A lot of people came, also because the project was picked by Design as one of the top 5, I think, exhibitions happening in Venezia during the Biennale. We didn't have any press release or a press office. We didn't pay no one to make a communication, but just through Facebook and the social network, someone came to know about this and published this. We were very happy for this, of course, and this is pictures from the party after the vernissage. Then in this case, the exhibition was two-folded. We had on the one hand several interventions which happened in the public spaces, transfiguring the building. We had like some sort of workshop on a long table we installed in the porch. We had conferences inside of the porch as well every day, and some light installations that would completely transfigure the perception of the building at night. Then inside, again, we had some original and site-specific installations made by some offices, which would again transfigure each one of the room of the apartment. And again, luckily in the end, we managed to spend only 14,000 euros, but all together, so both the refurbishment and the organization of the exhibition, which is still less than the 15,000 the Biennale usually looks for. This year, and this is the last slide, of course, we are repeating the experience again, and this is a sort of spoiler or a preview. It's the first time we publicly announced that we are going to try to use this other fantastic social housing complex by Vittorio Gargotti in the ex-Saffa area, just beside the Santa Lucia train station. And just as a very one thing to say, there's no Airbnbs, because it's a public housing project again. And the city council will not help us to get into any of the apartments. So now we have to find a third new way to secure the space. Thank you very much.